Fallibility of human concepts. Evil counterfeits good. It says, I am truth, though it is a lie. It says, I am love, but love is spiritual, and sensuous love is material. Wherefore it is hate instead of love. For the five senses give to mortals pain, sickness, sin, and death. Pleasure that is false, life that leads unto death, joy that becomes sorrow. Love that is not the procurator of happiness declares itself the antipode of love, and love divine punishes the joys of this false sense of love, chastens its affection, purifies it, and turns it into the opposite channels. Material life is the antipode of spiritual life. It mocks the bliss of spiritual being. It is bereft of permanence and peace. When human sense is quickened to behold aright the error of regarding life, truth, and love as material and not spiritual, or as both material and spiritual, it is able for the first time to discern the science of good. But it must first see the error of its present erroneous course, to be able to behold the facts of truth outside of the error, and vice versa. When it discovers the truth, this uncovers the error and quickens the true consciousness of God good. May the human shadows of thought lengthen as they approach the light, until they are lost in light, and no night is there. In science, sickness is healed upon the same principle and by the same rule that sin is healed. To know the supposed bodily belief of the patient and what has claimed to produce it enables the practitioner to act more understandingly in destroying this belief. Thus it is in healing the moral sickness. The malicious mental operation must be understood in order to enable one to destroy it and its effects. There is not sufficient spiritual power in the human thought to heal the sick or the sinful. Through the divine energies alone, one must either get out of himself and into God, so far that his consciousness is the reflection of the divine, or he must, through argument and the human consciousness of both evil and good, overcome evil. The only difference between the healing of sin and the healing of sickness is that sin must be uncovered before it can be destroyed, and the moral sense be aroused to reject the sense of error, while sickness must be covered with the veil of harmony, and the consciousness be allowed to rejoice in the sense that it has nothing to mourn over, but something to forget. Human concepts run in extremes. They are like the action of sickness, which is either an excess of action or not action enough. They are fallible. They are neither standards nor models. If one asks me, "Is my concept of you right?" I reply, "The human concept is always imperfect. Relinquish your human concept of me or of anyone, and find the divine, and you have gained the right one, and never until then." People give me too much attention of the misguided, fallible sort, and this misrepresents one through malice or ignorance. My brother was a manufacturer, and one day a workman in his mills, a practical joker, set a man who applied for work, in the overseer's absence, to pour a bucket of water every 10 minutes on the regulator. When my brother returned and saw it, he said to the jester, "You must pay that man." Some people try to tend folks, as if they should steer the regulator of mankind. God makes us pay for tending the action that He adjusts. The regulator is governed by the principle that makes the machinery work rightly, and because it is thus governed, the folly of tending it is no mere jest. The divine principle carries on His harmony. Now turn from the metaphor of the mill to the mother's 4,000 children, most of whom, at about 3 years of scientific age, set up housekeeping alone. Certain students, being too much interested in themselves to think of helping others, go their way. They do not love mother, but pretend to. They constantly go to her for help, interrupt the home harmony, criticize and disobey her, then return to their vomit, world worship, pleasure-seeking, and sense-indulgence. Meantime declaring, "They never disobey mother." It exceeds my conception of human nature. Sin in its very nature is marvelous. Who but a moral idiot, sanguine of success in sin, can steal and lie and lead the innocent to doom? History needs it, and it has the grandeur of the loyal, self-forgetful, faithful Christian Scientist to overbalance this foul stuff. When the mother's love can no longer promote peace in the family, wisdom is not justified of her children. When depraved reason is preferred to revelation, error to truth, and evil to good, and sense seems sounder than soul, the children are tending the regulator. They are indeed losing the knowledge of the divine principle and rules of Christian Science, whose fruits prove the nature of their source. A little more grace, a motive made pure, a few truths tenderly told, a heart softened, a character subdued, a life consecrated, would restore the right action of the mental mechanism and make manifest the movement of body and soul in accord with God. Instead of relying on the principle of all that really exists to govern His own creation, self-conceit, ignorance, and pride would regulate God's action. Experience shows that humility is the first step in Christian Science, wherein all is controlled, not by man or law's material, but by wisdom, truth, and love. Go gaze on the eagle, his eye on the sun, fast gathering strength for a flight well begun. As rising he rests, and a liberty higher than genius inflated with worldly desire. No tear dims his eye, nor his pinions lose power, to gaze on the lark in her emerald bower. Whenever he soareth to fashion his nest, no vision more bright than the dream in his breast.